You know, I love to talk, film, discuss, critique.
And what is up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Blood Splatter Chatter. Verno with you here with my brother Stu from Dr. Doom's Fan Club to talk about the 2020 sci-fi Russian cosmonaut film Sputnik, directed by first-time director Igor Abramenko. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce that.
I think you.
And yeah, this one just dropped on Shudder a couple weeks ago. This is one of the few movies that I'd never heard of. I never heard like anybody like say was good or anything. It just had 5 skulls on Shudder, and I had some good reviews. I'm like, fuck it. Well, let's give it a swing. Let's give it a try. And I will say off the bat, I didn't fucking like it. I didn't like it, man. This is gonna go 2 ways. Okay, good. I can already tell from your reaction. Either we both didn't like it and we just spend fucking 20 minutes shitting on this thing before we get out of here, or you can tell me, you can help me understand why this has pretty solid reviews. I was gonna say really good reviews, but pretty solid reviews. Really good reviews on Shudder. So I was kind of hoping you would have enjoyed it more than I did. But just before I sent it to you, man, I just found it. Well, first of all, the premise. The premise is we've got 2 cosmonauts. They go to space and they come back. One of them's dead. And then what the twist is, what we end up finding out like 40 some minutes into the film is kind of alien-esque, where this alien has entered this cosmonaut's body, and it's like a symbiote now. He comes out every night for an hour and a half, and it has to kill human beings in order to keep the host alive, is pretty much what it is. And then we've got this character, this blonde psychiatrist, I think she is, where her goal is basically she's trying to get this guy out and help him escape from the Russian government, more or less. But I just found it like really dry, which is supposed to be. It's supposed to be reflective of the 1983 Soviet setting. And I just found like I was not into that. A lot of people in the reviews, they praise that Soviet era feel. And it's like, no, well, that feel is boring and cold and dry. Stale as all hell. So I don't know. I feel like most people that are going to click on this are either fans of the movie or they just regularly watch the show. So if you clicked on this because you love the movie, I apologize. But hopefully, Stu, you have better things to say. But what did you think? Obviously, a first time watch for you.
Yeah, I did. It's one of those movies, like I think I was telling you before we got into it last week, was like I've seen a bunch of clips of it, particularly like I think, the feeding scenes and stuff like that on YouTube. One of those movies that like you've seen a bunch of clips before, but have never watched it in full. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I did, and I second exactly what you said. I am a fan of Russian culture and like all that feel, and I completely agree with what you're saying. It is cold and stale and confining and boring and claustrophobic in a sense. But like at the same time, I'm kind of a glutton for punishment, I guess, and I don't know. Just my dad was always he went to graduate school for Russian studies. He's always been, heavy into that scene. Like I said, we were talking last week about Cujo. Our dog was named after Tolstoy, the Russian writer. So, Russian culture has always had I guess, more elevated place in my household growing up than it would, I guess, in others. So I've always been a fan of it. And the cosmonauts, the space program, the space race has always been fascinating to me. Some of the horrors that the cosmonauts endured and, because it was a different, the U.S. space program had dozens and dozens of people die, in its test flights and, getting to the moon and all that as well. But I think the Russian government and their approach by nature is a lot more secretive and stuff like that. So finding out like years later about what, some of these happened to some of these cosmonauts upon, reentry or, horrific tragedies and stuff like that has always held interest to me. So I already had all that going in, and I think it checked a lot of those boxes. But I did I did dig the pacing of it. I like it held my attention for the most part throughout the thing, and I was really intrigued and captivated. I thought the special effects were pretty well done. The gore was nice. The creature design was cool. I think it was definitely a huge homage to Alien and Ridley.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like that in a lot of ways. But
have you seen Arrival?
I did, dude. Immediately thought of that scene when she's first walking up to communicate with it, and that scene, and that made me jump, man. That was a good jump scare when she's right there at the window with it. So yeah, I mean, I guess I was kind of like predisposed to like this one in a sense, and I don't know. At the same time, I think there are a variety of plot holes or things you have to ignore. Like the whole protocol with how we're approaching this guy who's been indoctrinated or infected with this alien was wild as shit. Like, you know, I feel like it's super strict in one sense, and then they're super loose.
I agree.
About who's making contact and what we're doing. And
open the window. Oh, and then just the fact that they let her in there. He's not changed when he's not the alien. When the alien is still inside him, they're pretty loose with it. Yeah, just go ahead and head in there. Say whatever you want to him. Say a bunch of crazy shit.
It's like, I thought they were going to feeding her to it at first, like the first time they sent her in there. So it was, I think
part of my issue, because it's like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm sitting there like hating the movie the entire time. Like I don't want to speak too strongly about it, but I did check my clock on how much is left in this thing, like at least 10-12 times while watching this movie, and it says 2 hours, but it really is only an hour and 45 minutes long with 15 minutes or so of credits. But to me it felt like it was 2.5 hours. It was just it
gets draggy there at the end.
Here's my biggest issue with it, kind of, is, well, I guess I got a few issues with it. One is like every time that there's like a reveal, it's like, oh, this is what's going on. It never hit. It was never that cool. Oh, there's an alien inside this guy. Kind of cool visually to see it coming out of his mouth and everything. But like, whatever. Okay, so they're doing the alien bit more or less. And then like, I guess the bigger one. Oh, what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, the other that they actually like was a really big reveal is that they're feeding this creature human beings. And like that was like the mid of the movie, like big reveal, and it just didn't hit very hard. I was like, okay, whatever. So they're feeding it shit. I guess like all these moments that felt like they were going to be big. And then the other big thing is what are the characters' motivations? The one guy we get, the guy that has the alien inside of him, he wants to get to his son and his mother. He wants to get out of there. But then did she fall in love with him? Why is she trying to help him get away with the knowledge that there's an alien inside of this guy that could kill everybody on the planet? Like, she's pretty loose with it.
At the end, right before the climax of the movie, and she's like, "We'll go to Moscow." It's like, so you're gonna go take him to like the most populated fucking city, and she's like, "And we'll figure something out." It's like, what the fuck is going on?
If that doesn't work, we'll go to New York City. If that doesn't work, we'll go to Paris. It's like, whoa, hold up. You might want to think about that.
We'll head to Asia and find the most populated place we can. But yeah, that was just like, that was super bizarre, and it did kind of seem like they forced some type of like romance between the two. I like the rapport between those two actors, or I thought that was really good. To me, that like my favorite character who masked his motivations was the colonel who was in charge of it all.
He was cool.
I thought he did a really good job of masking his intentions, and like was a really good, like you would expect like a Russian colonel running a secret base where they have an alien to be, like super professional, acts like he's sincere and concerned at the beginning, but really he's like only nefarious intentions. He wants to weaponize this thing, etc.
That was part of like he struck me as strange because he's this military colonel. What, in an American movie, he's going to be portrayed a lot differently. He seemed sad. Like, didn't everybody kind of seem like they were on the verge of tears throughout this entire movie?
Everybody seemed like they were going through it and depressed as shit. Yeah.
Which I guess, absolutely. I mean, if they're trying to create that Soviet era vibe, and again, this is what like a lot of the critics that liked it, this is what they're praising it for. And I think maybe that's what it is. Like for me personally, is I wasn't in the mood for it. I watched it in 3 sittings, which is another thing that says a lot. I kept on being like, all right, that's enough. I'll come back, which isn't great. It's not the best way to watch a movie and then review a movie. And usually I watch these things twice. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'll read the plot synopsis for my second view. I did just actually sit and skim through it just quickly. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I have like so much less to say about, like, even when I did my breakdown, like the different bits that I wanted to hit, I'm like, what is there that I really would even want to fucking talk about and get further into other than just like a brief like mentioning? Yeah, it's cold, it's dark. Like, did the mystery, like those, what I said earlier about like the reveal moments, did you feel similarly about those?
Um, yes and no. I agree with you about like them. I agree with you. I think more so about the feeding the humans. Like, oh, it feeds on fear. It's like, okay,
Right.
that was
Okay.
that was a
Okay,
bit
Pennywise.
that was a bit eye rolly, but I did like the way he was introduced, like coming out of the mouth and like going back and forth between like the cameras in the facility and like what these characters are seeing like that. And I just thought that first scene where she goes up to the thing is like captivating. You know what I mean? And
Yes, that
yeah,
it had its moments. I think for like it being almost a 2-hour movie, that was kind of my other bit. And it just wasn't enough exciting moments. There was like a lot of the moments that I think were supposed to be more heartfelt, especially between the two main characters. Like, I didn't connect to them, which really kind of bogged the movie down. And then at the end when they've escaped, they're running away, and like they get out of the car, they're out in that fucking desert or field or whatever. And like the way the music was like swelling up, like this was like some triumphant thing. I'm like, oh, this
yeah.
is supposed to be like a big deal. I'm like, I'm not feeling these moments at all. But again,
The
that could have
music
been
was like
partially me.
the music was kind of like obtuse sometimes. Like sometimes it was just awkward. Like it felt like it was overdoing it at some
Mhm.
points. At some points it was cool. Don't
Yes.
get me wrong, and it was there for the big moments. But like other times it just felt like they were doing too much, man.
It had
Like they spent too much of the budget on that.
it reminded me of like the Terminator score at times.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
like
It did feel
these
like
hard hitting
bigger,
dun dun.
and I want to say like how do I put it? So like this film felt like a little bit more lo-fi and low budget, and like that score just felt like a big Hollywood cinematic
Yes.
production. You know what I mean? It felt like a little bit of a odd fit, I guess, in that terminology, because it was just relentless, man. Like there was always strong sounds present. I felt like throughout the film, which is a good and a bad thing. I felt like you could have gone with like some super oddball, like kind of like from left field type of score, and given it to
Mhm.
like an indie person and done something really cool and different here too at the same
Or
time.
just like a twist on a more of a sci-fi score.
Yes.
I don't know.
It
I don't
just
watch many Russian movies. Like, can you think of
no,
many? You know what I
no,
mean? Like, I
I
don't think
can't.
they're a giant exporter of film.
No, I can't think of any, honestly. Like, there's what's it called? The one that they always like the film school, Battleship Potemkin or whatever. That's like from the 30s though, like I mean, like
That was
that's
weird.
like
Hold on. I just typed in, I was going to type in famous Russian movies, and I typed in famous, and it popped up Russian movies. It's like, what are you fucking listening to me, Google?
yeah,
That was weird. Like, where would they possibly go with that? That was very weird. Sorry, I had to cut you off. I was just blown away by
no, that's all right. It's inside you, bro. It's
that.
living inside. It comes out of
I
night.
don't see, just like looking at like, oh, the most popular Russian movies of all time. I've never heard of any of them. Ballad of a Soldier, Andrei Rublev, Man with a Movie Camera, The Dawns, Here Are Quiet. Nothing. Yeah, I don't know any Russian
Neither do I.
film, which might be, a part of my disconnect. Supposedly, this is one of, if not the first, which is funny because it came in 2020, like Russian sci-fi horror film that's ever been made. Isn't that
Wow.
weird? Like, I guess
Yeah.
they do a lot of like space films, but they've never done really a sci-fi horror movie in Russia.
It's got to be. It's almost. I don't know, man. I feel like the director deserves a bigger shout out for that, because it's got to be tough to create in that environment. You know what I mean? Like
Right?
it's got. I think it's no wonder why we don't have a whole. We're not familiar with Russian cinema, and they don't have a ton of offerings.
It's the same as China. I did a
Yeah.
movie with Wes like a year ago, Dream Home, and I the same thing. Like during that show, I was like, wait a minute, do Chinese people make movies? I was like, I don't think they do. They don't really like they have a rule in China where you can't have any like supernatural elements in your movies.
Yeah, they're super restrictive about their cinema.
Right. I bet it's really similar. Well, that was one thing. Like in this movie, for a couple moments, I forgot that it was taking place in 1983. And it's really like criticized and making comments on the restrictive nature of the government. And I kept thinking, I'm surprised they're able to get away with that. Because I don't think it's too, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that well, but I wouldn't imagine that it's a million miles away from the way it was in the Soviet era now. But I guess I just don't know.
No, for sure. I think especially now, I think you see some hardliners in Russia are calling for, they want to go back to the days of the USSR. So I think it's definitely, I think they kind of get away with it by making that separation. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we're talking about
Exactly.
back then. Yeah.
Exactly. But it still could totally be a comment on right now.
Absolutely.
Still, well, pretty much essentially living under a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I feel like I'm looking at it. We're like 16 minutes in. It's like, bro, I don't have fucking anything to say about this guy. This is why I watched.
What did you think? What did you think about like the design of the creature itself? Did you dig it at all?
Yeah, I thought that was great. Definitely, there was a few wonky moments with the CG, but not really. There was just like little tiny little moments. But I did read that, I guess, and once I read this, I was like, oh yeah, duh, clearly it was. It was kind of based on a cobra and a praying mantis, and I think one other insect. But that was one of the more unique aspects of it. I liked how slender and skinny it was.
Absolutely.
Like it definitely did look different.
And I appreciated that the science of it seemed to like kind of check out. You know what I mean? It seemed within the realm of possibility. Like an alien creature like this could do that and like adapt and enter and exit its host without causing a massive disturbance.
That's probably when I was most into the movie. Is like when you were first finding out what was going on, and there was a moment where they were like, it was kind of like the most quick paced moment of the movie where they were like, he does this, like the alien exits the body at 2 a.m. and it comes back, and they were feeding us quickly with a bunch of facts, and the movie seemed like it was picking up pace like 45 minutes in, and then I felt like the middle act really slowed down after that.
Yeah.
What up, Kenneth Bird, my brother? Appreciate you being in here.
Kenneth. Yeah, it got slow there in the second half for sure.
I'm looking at like the characters. I guess we've said. You got any other thoughts on the characters? I did think the lead was really strong. She was a good actress, but again, she was just like, it was the thing that I didn't like about that movie. She was so dry to me. She was so like most of her outer dialogue was kept inside because she wasn't allowed to say what she wanted to say. Like, you know what I mean? It was kind of, and the whole thing was layered with secrecy. Like everyone's keeping secrets. Again, going back to that Soviet era theme where nobody was like being overly open and they had to do a lot of whispering. But you got anything else on the characters?
No, I just like I liked her, but I like the dude who played the cosmonaut who was the host of this thing. I thought he did an excellent job. Just from like the beginning interviews throughout the movie. I just like the way he kind of carried himself, and like the colonel kind of didn't let all his cards show, didn't put all his cards on the table until later on in the thing. So I appreciated that. But yeah, I thought, to me, my favorite performance was the colonel. I thought he did a great job.
He looked like somebody too. I kept on being like, who is the American guy that looks like this guy? I think I kind of have his face too. I just don't know who the hell he is. But hell, man, I'm not going to stretch this out any more than I need to. I feel like I have failed everybody because I wasn't able to put together a good rundown to really break down this movie. And honestly, it's just because I wasn't that fucking into it. I don't really know.
I mean, it's a simple, straightforward story, though. That's what I appreciate about it. So it's not. It doesn't it tries to get. I think kind of trips itself there with like, oh, are we going to make this a romantic thing? And like when they're embracing and hugging, I'm just like, what do we? I don't know. But
I thought it could have saved the movie if that worked for me. If their relationship worked, that's the entire movie. I had no reason to get behind her. First of all, knowing that if you do help this guy escape, like we said earlier, the dangers that you're posing to the rest of the planet.
Yeah,
I couldn't get behind the whole movie because of that. I'm like
for sure.
The end game of this movie is I don't want it to happen. And that's a good movie. You should want what the characters' goals are. You should be behind their goals. And you know what I mean? That's a big deal.
No, very true. Very, yeah, and it's because that's the thing is like this thing got like 8,000 eggs. It's about to drop on the rest of human civilization. But also, oh shit, what was I gonna say? I forgot. Never mind. I forgot. If it comes
That's
back to
all
me, I'll
good.
let you
You know, sometimes I like to do this just because I want to see like what did just looking at the reviews on Shutter. First of all, I left a review and they've already deleted it. I said like it was slow. I'm surprised by all the good reviews. I did say ass in the review, so maybe that's why I'm not seeing it here on Shutter. This man gave it 3 skulls. It has a 5-skull rating, which first of all, I have an issue with that. I did the math one time on a Shutter movie with 5 skulls, and I'm like, it added up to 4.1 skulls. So to them, anything over 4 is 5 skulls. It's like relax on that, Shutter. Maybe have a half skull system. But anyway, he says slightly bloated film, but still good, worth a watch. Another one, 4 skulls, surprisingly enjoyable, easy to understand story, interesting monster concept. Practical effects would have been better, but what are you going to do? Yes, I
very true.
agree. This is a gem and an essential watch for anyone that enjoys sci-fi during the Cold War. It's a pretty
Yeah.
small group, I guess. If you're into sci-fi movies from 2020 that were made in Russia with a blonde lead, really cool. I
Is
agree.
that like a
It's a must-watch.
subgenre though? Are there a ton of movies in
I
that?
I think they do a lot of sci-fi. Like just from reading,
Because of the
like,
space race, the
yeah,
nature of the space race type of shit. Yeah.
which I should have mentioned at the beginning, like Sputnik. When I saw the name, like Sputnik, fucking Sputnik. What? How do I know that? You probably know off the top of your head, but Sputnik was the name of the first satellite ever
Right.
put
That
into orbit.
put us on notice, really.
Right.
That like
Yes.
got us shook and yeah, ignited the space race.
Exactly. Yeah. Basically started the space race.
I wish we still were more ambitious and didn't have to. I mean, shout out to Elon. I know he's doing his thing, and what they've done is incredible. But I wish it was, the government was still behind those efforts, man. I think it is necessary on a variety of fronts. So,
Right.
yeah, that's one thing I would love to see again. I think we could do some really cool things if the world got together and put their mind.
Got behind it again. I know. Well, it's
Right.
interesting. It's really like it's kind of eye-opening when you look at shit that's like, oh, I thought only a government can do that. So you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily bummed, like, oh, okay, I guess look what we could have private people do isn't necessarily a bad thing either. It's kind of interesting. It's like, holy shit, I didn't even think that was possible. So
No, I think
damn.
it's a
What else?
double-edged sword, right? Like, look what like they've been able to do with the Starlink program and like the boosters or the rockets that launch and land. I mean, that's incredible that they've created technology that can do that and they can reuse. And that's going to be huge down the road. But it's like, yeah, it just goes to show you, with enough money and resources, man, like anything can happen.
Right.
It's yeah, it's I wish and like I guess on the other side of that, you see billionaires going up into space and taking their little like private sojourns and
Right.
like it's kind of bloated and eye rolly in that way as well. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up too.
Dude,
But yeah,
have you seen that clip of Jeff Bezos and William Shatner after
mm-mm.
they came back down? It's hilarious. Shatner's trying to be like profound and talk about what the moment meant to him seeing Earth from that distance. And Bezos' girlfriend and like the rest of the people are just like being obnoxious and opening champagne. He's like, give me a, and then Bezos eventually just cuts off Shatner. He's like, give me a bottle. And he's like, I want to hear this. And then by that time, Shatner's like, yeah.
That's hilarious. No,
It
I have
is.
not seen that. I
It's
know
like
I heard he
it's
went
a
to
great
space.
like moment, that one of those moments that's just like so symbolic. It's hilarious.
Would you go to the moon? Would you go to
Oh, fuck yeah.
space? Right?
Fuck yeah, dude.
I always said my wife always talks about. She says I would never. It's like, dude, I would have
I would
to.
kill like if it's yeah, man, that would be incredible.
I wonder if like we'll get there. You know what I mean? Even like those, maybe not like go to the moon, but like be put into orbit, that kind of thing. Like
Oh
what
yeah.
fucking Katy Perry and them
Dude, the
possibly
moon's
did.
it's coming, man. They're opening up the moon economy, all that stuff. It's getting to that race is really heating up. I think
I think
yeah.
that could
And
be a
like the
big ass
next
deal.
decade, it's gonna be really, really interesting.
The same way, like like that first famous picture of the Earth that was taken from the moon and it came back and like it changed the perspective of humanity.
Yes.
And it started the green movement and people caring about the planet and all that. Like it could be if more people started to have that experience, that could be like a really impactful thing on the planet to like put into perspective. You know what I mean? Put humanity and like what we're doing here into perspective.
Yeah, I think that's what we need, man, because there's, in a certain sense, I'm like, do we deserve another planet? I don't think we really do at like in the manner of speaking, but at the same time, if we're up there and we find like a new metal or element or something like that on asteroids, or yeah, I think it's just the shift in perspective and the way of thinking could be monumental and change the world and the way we do things or see things in ways that we can't even comprehend. So I think that's the beauty of it.
I say we deserve it, man. I think whether we deserve it or not, we are the only interesting thing happening for like a billion light years. You know what I mean? We're the only thing that fucking matters, like forever. That's why I always say, like, we're making our mistakes and everything, but like this has to continue because it fucking could be the only place that this is happening. Like, at least maybe the only one that we would ever know about. But all right, I feel like we stretched this bad boy out long enough, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me your review or your rating. SoCal Dan giving it a 3.5 out of 5. He said he likes.
I think I'm gonna double down on Dan's review. 3.5 out of 5 sounds beautiful. I was leaning more towards 4, but you know, I don't know. I just felt like it was a little bit slower in the second half, and it kind of stumbled to where it really was engaging and intriguing in the first half for me. So, but regardless, good performances, cool monster, interesting concept. Yeah, I agree. If you're into the Cold War sci-fi horror genre, this is your baby. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Hell yeah! Oh, you just made me think of something, and I already fucking lost it. I'm gonna get. Oh, here's something I want to ask you real quick. Did you find me and Link were talking about this? I don't think you were on that episode. Some movies with subtitles, some languages, the way that they translate, it's not a problem. You're just reading, it's perfect timing. After a while, you get sucked into it. You don't even notice that you're reading the movie. This one, it's like were you having a hard time like keeping up with it? And sometimes like they would say a sentence and there might be a 5-minute or 5-second gap before someone speaks again. But that subtitle went away like way too quick. There was like 5 or 6 times I had to rewind and be like, what did he say? What did they say?
No, not that I can remember.
Well, fuck you then. I'll give this bad boy. I'm kind of having a struggle with it, man. I'm gonna give it a 2.5 because it does. There's a lot of things I respected about it, but like I was bored during the movie, during the most of the movie, and at the end of the movie, I was almost tempted just to fast forward to the fucking end and like let's get out of here. I was just like way over it by the end. So if I watched it again, which I probably never will, I might feel differently about it. But on that one watch, in 3 sittings, I was not a fan of this one, I would say. But you know what I am a fan of? Friday the 13th part 4, baby. Fucking super stoked. I'm whipping up some masks.
I haven't seen this one. What is going on in this thumbnail? I have so many questions.
Yeah. This, hold on, where am I at? Bam. So a couple years ago, last year I got into making this one. I didn't make this one, I actually bought, but I got into making custom Jason masks, and I'm actually whipping up a couple right now. I've got them half painted. I'm going to make a couple part 4 masks, and I'm going to give away one to the chat for those who answer trivia questions correctly, and one to the panel. So we'll be doing some trivia. Last couple years, what I've done, I've showed people a picture of a victim in the Jason franchise, the Friday franchise, and then you have to tell me how that victim dies. So we're probably going to do something real similar to that, and then I have maybe 1 or 2 more little segments of trivia that we're going to do. So be there, 6:30 Central Time on Friday, and win the trivia. And if you live in the continental United States of America, I will send you a custom-made Jason Voorhees Part 4 mask. So we will be doing that, and then obviously we'll be reviewing Part 4 on Friday the 13th. And then
so sick. I still need one of those masks, though.
Be there, baby. Study up. Win. And then 28 weeks later, that's what we're going to do next Wednesday, because the following week we're going to do 28 years later. And then I'm thinking about maybe even doing 1978's Dawn of the Dead the following week. So we might have a mini zombie fest here in June. So have you seen 28 weeks later?
I think so. Yes, I want to say that. But yeah, 28 years later is dropping soon. Is that
Yes.
coming out?
2 weeks on the 20th, I think it comes out.
Can't
So
wait
it's
for
June
that.
11th now. I think it comes out on the 20th. Super stoked for that. So
Yeah.
that's the plan, is to hit the theater and then review that the week after it comes out.
Yeah, it's been crazy seeing those behind the scenes, like of the iPhones and stuff on some of those shots that they
I
pulled
know.
off.
I saw that too. That one where the zombies got like 20 iPhones surrounding them. I know. It's like, what is that
Wow,
going to look
dude.
like? What are they doing? Is it a
I know.
Matrix thing?
I don't know. Can't wait to see
But
that.
this, go check this out. This is a really great
Dude,
movie.
I
A
watched
very
this last
solid
night.
review. Did you? What'd you think, dude?
Off of y'all's review, man. I knew my boys were big up in it. I knew it had to be great. It was fucking phenomenal, dude. Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah.
Phenomenal. I loved the anthology thing and the way they wove it and the way they set the stage and the way they connected the universe. Dude, 10 out of 10,
Hell
20
yeah.
out
It
of
was
20,
so
all that.
badass.
It was fantastic.
I was going around telling everybody I know, because there's a lot of people that aren't into horror. So I'm not, you know what I mean? There's times I want to tell people about things, but like, you don't care. I won't even tell you. But I was telling everybody about this. I was like, dude, Predator, killer of killers.
And I love
Unbelievable.
the three different versions of you know what I mean? They were all just, especially, what was your favorite Predator out of the three?
Maybe the first one. Maybe that first like
big,
oversized
Yeah, the big
giant
ogre.
one.
I like the samurai one. That was such a
Oh
cool
yeah, he was
matchup of
cool too.
styles. Yeah,
Super badass. Super badass.
Yeah,
I thought it was
super
fucking
cool.
phenomenal, man.
It
was so
was-
good. So go
They're
check
killing
that out.
that franchise
Hey,
right now.
baby
They're doing
girl.
a lot of good things.
I agree, man. Well, me and Link were talking like Alien and hey there.
Yeah, and
You wanna say
Prey was so good.
Alien and Predator, both the franchises in good condition. I don't know if you saw like at the end of that review, I told Link, how cool would it be? Fede Alvarez directs his next Alien movie.
Oh man,
What the hell? Who's this guy? Oh, Dan Trachtenberg does his next Predator movie, and then they swap. I want to see Fede's Predator movie and Dan Trachtenberg's Alien movie. That would be better. Or they could do an Alien versus Predator movie. That would be badass too.
That sounds
not as badass as Ink and Insights. Every Wednesday night, baby. That's tonight. What do you got going on, Stu?
Tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Dr. Doom's fan club channel. Yeah, me and my boy E talking our favorite new Sal. What up, bro?
What up, Sal?
Favorite new comics from this past week. We are talking. What are we talking? Imperial, Jonathan Hickman's new offering, which was fantastic.
Awesome.
Moon is following us. Grand finale. Daniel Warren Johnson made me cry again, and lastly, Joe Quesada's return to Marvel with The World to Come. So check us out then.
Hells yeah.
9:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Hells yeah. Make sure you guys are signed up. Dr. Doom's fan club and 9-panel grid. So you never miss an episode. Madison's running around with a bunch of Jason masks
by
over
short
here.
boxes will be dropping tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. New episode featuring Catwoman's Lonely City from Cliff Chang.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that from just a couple years ago?
It was 2021.
Yeah.
2022, I want to say.
I remember that.
It was fantastic. Great Black Label book. Like Dark Knight Returns for Catwoman.
Hell yeah, man. All right. And then again, as I said, 28 weeks later, next Wednesday, 12:30 Central Time. And you know what? I'll throw it out here right now. There's just a couple left in the chat, which I always appreciate. Sal, SoCal, Kenneth Burr, that you guys have made the trip from Thursday nights to Wednesday afternoons. But I'll fucking throw it out there now. Talked about it, thought about it. Eventually, before Horror Fest, within the next couple months or so, we're going back to Thursday nights. So that is the plan as of now. Because my wife's going back to days, so it's going to make it a little bit easier. I won't have this child with me at all times, listen to me talk horror and messing with my toys while I'm trying to talk to you guys. But at least she looks cute while she does it.
Yeah.
But hell yeah, man. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. And we're going to get up out this bitch. Appreciate you, Stu. And we'll see you guys on next Wednesday, 28 weeks later.
Later,
Whoa, where's that button? Where's the button? There it is.